Wi-Fi Sheep would like to say a huge thank you to all of you that kindly support us. Help us continue to bring new videos like this. Join patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep from just $1 a month. Hello everyone, how are you doing? And a very warm welcome back to youtube.com/Wi-Fi Sheep with me, Tom. And this, the launch of a new project right here on the channel as part of our 2025 Rotten Acorns series. Now, to give you some context, about 2 years ago, regulars to the channel will remember that I did a video on an Acorn RISC PC that had been donated to me from a former Patreon backer of the channel. Unfortunately, this machine was, how can I put it, beyond its best, I think it's fair to say. And it was covered in rust, it had got damp, I think it had been outside at some point. And it looks like once all this corrosion of water had built up inside it, it had actually been switched on at the mains, as the main PCB was completely blown apart. So there wasn't much hope for this machine, but this got me thinking, is it possible to put back together an Acorn RISC PC? Now, if you're outside of the UK, and for that matter Northern Europe, then the Acorn RISC PC is probably not a machine you're going to be familiar with. It's an important piece of history because it was one of the last mass-produced commercial British computer systems. Produced by Acorn, it was the replacement for the Acorn Archimedes, which in turn was the replacement for the original 8-bit BBC Micro. The name RISC PC is slightly misleading as it wasn't x86 architecture, so it wasn't an IBM clone like so many other manufacturers were making at this time. The RISC PC was its own architecture, that being some of the original ARM architecture, although this was a slightly updated later version. Unfortunately, in later years, RISC PCs, like many of the later Acorn products, suffered from battery leaks. Whereas the machines were put into store, the CMOS batteries were actually soldered directly onto the motherboards. These leaked and destroyed most of the internal components. I have another RISC PC which was donated to me some years ago which had suffered a battery leak. I managed to catch it, I removed the battery, cleaned the machine up, but even it now has succumbed to its, how can I put this, internal injuries, and has actually failed. So this got me thinking, is it possible to preserve the legacy and the software, the RISC OS operating system and software of the Acorn RISC PC, whilst getting a reliable machine, possibly with new internals, back onto the exhibition scene for others and future generations to enjoy? Now, I'm up against a bit of a deadline here, so I'd like to have the machine ready for this year's Econet LAN party, which is happening at the National Museum of Computing. That's in Bletchley Park, Milton Keynes, UK. This is on June the 7th and 8th, 2025. Tickets for that, by the way, are selling out fast. I'll put links and details in the description to this video. I would also like to have the RISC PC machine capable of going to Cambridge Retrofest, which is happening on Saturday the 15th and Sunday the 16th of November 2025. And this is the Centre for Computing History in Cambridge. Again, I'm not sure if tickets for that have actually gone on sale just yet, but I will put details, again, in the description to this video. So I'm a little bit up against it time-wise. So I think the first thing to do is to go and dig out the machine that was last seen 2 years ago, which I've got stored in an outbuilding. Let's clean up the case, let's remove what's left of the innards, and we'll survey the situation and see where we'll go from there. So let's just have a little wander down the garden. By the way, when I'm recording this, it's an extremely cold January day. Chickens, by the way, live down there. Not that anyone's interested. So in here, this is one of the outbuildings of the summer house where I made the last video when we last looked at the RISC PC. And it's still there. Lots of other junk in here now as well. So here we go, it's still here, RISC PC 600, there's this drive and an optical drive is still in it. I've not taken those out, although they are probably completely shot. So this is just a hollow shell, actually, no power supply, no PCB, and I do have a RISC PC keyboard which is under there. which I don't know what the state of it is, but we could, I suppose, have a look at it. Well, we do need to have a look at it, see if it would spring back into life or not. So, okay, so I've got the machine here. Hopefully it's not going in the wheelie bin. Now, it hasn't got any of the locking pins that wrist PCs have. They're quite a unique design that didn't use screws, but let's just take it apart, and you can just see inside the complete devastation from what's left. I forgot there was a floppy drive and an optical drive in. But actually what I will say is the spring, ironically, these things normally fail, go very bad. And the spring in this one, I don't know if that's factory or not, but the spring mechanism works on this. So it's got a working door. Most of them have broken doors by this point. The button, the power button, because I took the PSU out, I do have that button safe. This is the case. It's also got some damage here, which you can see inside. Might be able to just make out the crack. You just see the crack. Yeah, there. So yeah, and of course we've got a lot of rust. This is a plastic treated. I did notice the culprit, the battery, which I snipped out. The board is still there. And then if we take out the middle section, because it's got no locking pins, just take that clean out. And then you've got the base. So you can see here two status LEDs, which I'd like to retain. They're sort of gunked in, and there's a little speaker jumped in here, two sort of Molex type connectors, so those should be retainable, is the thinking. But really we need to try and brush as much of this rubbish out, get rid of this horrible battery, brush as much as we can out of this, clean it up, and I suppose bring it in the house, let it warm up again, and then make a decision what we're doing. Welcome to a bit later on. First of all, apologies for the rather dreary lighting. It's basically got dark. It's January here in the UK, and it just aren't enough hours in the day. So although it's only about 5 in the evening, it's night outside. So I've rigged up some floodlights because we really need to do this outside, and I want to get this done before the working week starts. So first things first, just actually before I go further, just say it's amazing without anything in these. These are actually surprisingly light, but let's take the lid off. Okay, so I do want to see if we can, at the very least, rescue these drives. Also, the battery, the original battery that leaked, we are so putting that in the bin. The things that kill these stone dead. So should be able to at least get the floppy drive out. It's not too badly corroded. Just need to figure out where it's being held underneath, and that's what I'm talking about, the corrosion. If you can see that. Again, unfortunately it's right where the there in the top there, you see it? Just there. So oh yeah, so I don't know if that's coming out, but we'll give it a shot, see what it does. It's a smaller crosshead. There's actually anything to bite into on that. It's the one screw, but might try some WD-40 on that in a minute. I think these will go though, so yeah, that'll come out. Yeah, I'm not so worried about these. I mean, it might just be case damage, it might be alright, but we don't know if he's got blasted with high voltage or anything. But really I just need to try and get, I might see if I can get some pliers or something on that It almost looks like the thread's gone, as if someone's tried at some point to take this out. Because I'm just adding to the misery. Don't know where my little, got some WD-40, don't know where my thing's gone, but we'll just spray it in anyway. Okay, that's a WD-40. I've changed your camera position, by the way, so you can see it a little better. So it's not freezing, but I think it's about like 2 degrees Celsius, so it's 2 degrees above freezing at the moment, so not a deal. But let's just see if we can. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, possibly not. Just going to see if I can grip it and get it to turn. There we go, it is turning. Don't know if we can get a screwdriver. No, there's nothing to purchase with, that's the problem. No, so we'll grip and take it out then. So okay, can you see that? There it is. Camera gets focus on it. Yeah, so that was the problem. So now we should be able to put this back over. Rescue our floppy drive, which again, if it's not been zapped to high voltage, might be alright. It might clean up, so it does need a clean up, but that's okay. So we'll try and put that to one side. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll take this main body slice out of the way, take this ribbon out, which is just running loose, a couple of broken clips and things inside. Gloves back on, so it's just a case. Let's sort of think if we can just tip all this debris out. You can see in the corners what I was talking about, this sort of battery corrosion. That's where it's pulled in the corners. I think it's mainly off the power supply, because the power supply sat in here. So at the front here I also want to be very careful, because I'm hoping that this speaker, which is glued in, and there's two power and activity indicator LEDs, and here are the cables for them. I want to retain those, keep those in the hope that they're okay and they haven't blown up with whatever destroyed this board. Oops, there goes a screwdriver. So we'll be tactful, but I think now what I'm going to do is we'll just get the tools out of the way. I'm just going to use a sponge and some warm soapy water. So it's just washing detergent, like washing up liquid. I'm also just using one of these Brillo. It's Brillo pad, but not too rough on one side, sponge on the other. And what I want to do is I'm just going to try not to soak this area if I can help it. I just want to see how much of this we can clean up. If this stuff does get wet, it's not a disaster, so we're not going to be testing today, but I do need to get this board, if I can, clean enough so we can bring it into the house and work on it inside. It's been outside because it's just been so icky that I haven't really wanted to bring it in, and because it's still winter at the moment, I can't really do much sort of repainting, or I think these are painted. So I think this is a paint layer. They're definitely painted on the inside for RF purposes, but I think these are painted on the outside, so I don't think we can really retrobrite, or even if we paint retrobrite, it's just not the season for it, and I need the machine kind of before the season would pick up, so we kind of need to be ready for the spring. Also, don't forget underneath. So I mean, this has been sitting God knows where for how long, exposed to elements and damp. Basically almost been sitting outside. Then come to me completely broken obviously, and then it's sat not outside but in an outbuilding, like a wooden shed, for 2 years since we last did the video on the thing. So I haven't really cleaned it, so it's sat there possibly picking up a more, you know, dirt or dust. The next bit which is the main body of the PC, the case, which has this door which does work, but the spring is still in there. So really I should probably take the spring out. You can actually see here, see the corrosion damage. This is the stuff I want to see if we can lift off the plastic. Just don't lose the springs. It's nice to have one that has a working spring, so just take that out. Okay, and it just hooks off like that. Okay, so put that somewhere safe because you know, it works. I'm really just seeing if this corrosion will shift. I mean, this is definitely one of those that would need possible paint work done to it at a later date. You can actually see the whatever this sort of rust oxide is pouring out the side. So yeah, it's getting there. There's still, you can see there's still something there, but it's better than it was. So I think what I'll do now is I'm going to carry on cleaning this up, and we'll do a jump cut and we'll come back when, well, we'll see where I've got to. I've just noticed something which I haven't seen on the back of the machine before, which is the packed or what's it, practical ordnance test. I forget what it's called, but basically it's the electrical safety test, which you can use to identify when a machine was last tested or last in service. And this is really interesting. Nottingham County Council, and you can see here the date 2003 then was the last time this machine was serviced, and there's an appliance number 337. Unfortunately the label is just a paper label, so it's getting soaked, so I thought I'd record this for prosperity right now. Yeah, so you can see the 29th of, is that the 3rd or the 5th? Can't see. 03. So you can assume that it was out of service in 2003, 2004, and the machine was taken out of service. If that was in a school, in an education environment, or if it was in the sort of county council office or whatever it was in public use and ownership at that time. So interesting little history there for this machine and what it did at some point in its career. Okay, I've just got the bit sitting on the hedge. I'm just going to give this one, this is the base, a rinse in a minute. It is getting really cold out here. My hands are, where are we? My hands are wet, and it's not nice. So it's probably going to drop below freezing shortly. So we'll give this a rinse off. I'll get these inside. Without soaking it, I have had a go at just cleaning up the disk drive, which, though it looks wet, it is just suds on the surface. I'm going to clean that up shortly. The optical drive, the CD drive, I will probably just put back where I found it in the outbuilding for now. I don't really want to deal with that at the moment, it's not a priority. So let's just get these bits sorted, let's get them back inside. Okay, so I want to now test out if the LEDs on the RIS PC case actually still work. So that's the lid, and yeah, you can see we've still got quite a bit of corrosion, including down in the bottom here. So let's just take this slice out. Here's the bottom, and I'm just going to turn this around so you can see better. Here are the LEDs, and they're actually like glued in. You can see the LEDs here, they're glued in. Speakers in there as well, so we've got, that's the sound, and then these two are the LEDs. As I said, if everything else is blown to bits, I'm not confident if these LEDs even work, but let's test them. So to test them, I've got here my bench power supply. Let's turn it on. And we're running at 5 volts. I might just bring the voltage just down a little bit. There we go, 3.2 will be fine. So I'm going to use this bench supply just to put some basic power through the LEDs. Now the LEDs need resistors because I don't think there's any resistor protection on circuits. So I've got here this little breadboard. There's a 1K resistor and there's 2 jumper wires. We'll connect one side to here, and I'll need to connect one side, so I need another cable. Well, actually what we could do is we could just take that red off, We'll connect straight on. There we go. So you see how it's color coded. So hopefully if I go put my red in there and my resisted, what will be my ground, will go to black, which is this in here. Okay, red straight through to the diode, back from the diode, through the resistor, 1k resistor, back to ground, back to the power supply. Let's power back up, see what happens. Pulling next to no current. Let's check on the case now to see if we can actually see if any LED has lit up. Oh yes, I think it has. You can see there it's dim, but the yellow is lit up. So yellow is working. I've just flipped it over so you can see the camera pointing down. I love these little cameras. They are so useful for this sort of thing. So let's try the green. And yeah, you can see green is absolutely working. And we should be able to go up to 5 volts if we're very, very careful. And you should see it getting brighter. That's 5 volts. And yeah, that's looking good. So the good news is the LEDs, assuming both LEDs, appear to be okay. Okay, so after the initial LED testing, here is the RISC PC in its current state back together. And yeah, it's still not looking great. Biggest problems is probably with the front door. Also, obviously, the marks and the worn out Acorn badge. If we go onto the sides of the machine, as pointed out when we were cleaning, we've still got muck and stuff which we could obviously clear up. We've still got this crack here and the damage. And then we've got these paint splodges on both sides of the case, which must be some sort of identifier marking. On the back, not too bad, although we have got a crack here. So yeah, ideally what I would like to do is I'd like to obviously clean this machine up the best I can, but I'm going to have to put completely new internals inside it. But to get something ready that's presentable for exhibition, I think we're going to have to cheat, possibly. Cheat being the word, possibly, but we may have to do. So I think just because the amount of work that's needed, I'll show you inside, you can actually see the amount of damage internally on the paintwork. It's quite a lot of corrosion damage, which again could be cleaned up. We're still going to have to clean stuff up on the bottom of the case. But to be honest with you, I just think it might be worth just swapping this entire middle section off and swapping it out with another one of my, I say spares, but the other RISC PC that I have that's recently stopped working, that's got a spare slice in it that's actually in better nick than this. So I think that's what we'll do now. So zooming the camera out a little bit so we can actually get this in shot. This is what a twin slice RISC PC actually looks like. This is a genuine RISC PC. This is one of the first ones that was given to me actually a few years ago, long before I actually started Wi-Fi Sheep. But unfortunately it had a battery leak, and that basically meant the machine has succumbed to its injuries, as I said earlier. So it doesn't work at the moment. I'd love to try and get this one with original hardware back on running. But for now, because we're pushed for time, I'm thinking of possibly borrowing this top slice. I don't really like this 2-slice form factor. It just makes the machines extremely large and bulky. And they're quite big PCs as it is. This one has a hard drive on one of these socket things. We can take that out. The floppy drive is plated. Now that's interesting because I don't think I'm going to be able to get original floppy disk drive working on the rebuild. So having a plated unit might be quite useful. Also, obviously the Acorn badges are in better nick. Well, I say Acorn badge. These pieces come out and can be swapped out. So I might make a decision. Am I going to borrow the nicer nick one from this? or do I put the other one, which is a bit worn, back into this space? But we'll come to that nearer the time. So again, it's so big you're not going to be able to see this on the camera, but basically wrist PCs have these lock pins, which are plastic pins which come out the back. So this is a double stack pin, and then the top just comes off, and you can see this is the top slice. There's two internal pins, just push back so you can see. So there's two internal pins here, one here and one on the other side, and these should come up like that and like that, and that then frees up the top slice, which didn't look like it's plugged into anything anyway. So this is the slice we'll probably borrow. There's the rest of the unit, which on this one isn't too bad. It's annoying that it's failed, because it wasn't in too bad a nick really, although it never worked that well. From when I had it, it was struggling. So this is what I mean about the reliability of the hardware, especially things like the power supply, which is huge in these, being basically unreliable. So we'll see what the future for this one is. I'm just wondering, am I going to borrow the Acorn badge, because it's just on, these things just pull out on too little without breaking it. I just got a pair of pliers. It's very easy to break these, but we should be able to just take the Acorn badge part off. And the plastic is not good in its age, and it has actually broke one of the tabs off, but it's off. So there we are. So that's actually got the Acorn. That's a shame. But yeah, this has happened because plastic is getting brittle. You might have actually noticed that this slice here isn't perfect. There is actually a crack here. So it's not huge. I think that's the only crack in it. So we might just try and take this panel off if we can get it off. And again, they're all snapping in the same place, which is really annoying. And then we can pop, get our Acorn logo back on. There we go. And then I guess we'll just take a screwdriver and we'll just take this hard drive housing out, which from memory is mounted, I think on these it's actually mounted, it is upside down, so the screws are mounting on the bottom there. Take this out. Might just put the mounting screws somewhere safe, because we might need those in a moment. There we go. So we'll take this unit, oops, there we go. That comes off. And then we've got a slightly better condition, although obviously not perfect, a slightly better condition slice that we can then reunite with the other machine. Right, so let's bring back the other case. Well, we've got the base, which is here, which again is still going to need some work to tidy up this area, but fundamentally it's okay for the moment. Let's now bring in our new center slice, which is this one here. See if we can get that to line up. There we go. And again, you see the door on this one is in much nicer, cleaner condition. Also, it's nice, it just says RISC PC as opposed to saying 600 or something else. So it's nice just to have a nice generic RISC PC with a clean Acorn badge, which is nice. And then we've got a lid. Which we can fix on like that. And once we've sorted out the slightly wonky door, which we can fix, that should be all right, and that's beginning to look a little bit better. So originally I didn't have any of the single deck locking pins until Peter Hawkins, a friend of mine, and also the current co-maintainer of RPC EMU. That's the PC and Linux emulator that emulates the RISC PC under Windows and other systems, actually very kindly sent me a set of single deck RISC PC locking pins, which I have here. So with these, I can now actually lock together a single slice RISC PC, which is the form factor I really want to use these machines in. So again, as with the double slice, you put one goes that needs to go in. There we go. One in like that. One the other side. And then we should be able to put the lid back on. And then the two go here on the back. And those do twist in and lock. And our RISC PC has more or less locked and stayed together. And I know it's a quick fix to swap some stuff out, but still a bit of cosmetic work needed. But fundamentally, it's cleaned up much better. The colour difference, I did think this plastic was painted, but it clearly isn't. The colour difference, a little bit of a colour difference, but it's not horrendous. And here on the back, you can see last time, this is actually 2016 was the last time that this machine in its previous guise went out. So we've got a couple of holes that we need to sort out, but fundamentally the plastics are all in good shape and this panel is intact as well. So yeah, that's going to work really, really well, I think. Okay, so we've still got quite a lot to do. Obviously, at the moment we've literally just got a large plastic box, which is sort of there, but we have no innards, nothing that actually makes the computer work. So that's what we'll look at next time in part 2 of this video series on the RISC PC, part of Rotten Acorns, here on Wi-Fi Sheep. Before I go, just want to say a huge thank you to all our Patreon and channel members. That all are on the screen right now. You can join via patreon.com/Wi-Fi Sheep, or alternatively you can become a YouTube channel member and stay right here on YouTube. Just click the join button below this video or click on the links in the description. If you are brand new around here, then welcome to Wi-Fi Sheep. Thank you so much for joining us, and as always, thank you all for your support and company. We'll be back in part 2 real soon. If you haven't done so already, please do consider liking and subscribing to me here on Wi-Fi Sheep, and I'll see you real soon. Until next time, bye for now.